I put the child in the harness and I make sure that my harness is at the appropriate level, regardless of whether the child is forward facing or rear facing. I need to make sure that my harness is tight enough around the child. And what you want to do is try to do a vertical pinch of the webbing near the child's collarbone area. And from this diagram here, this little boy's harness is too loose. You do not want to be able to get any material of that harness webbing between your fingers. There have been many studies done that actually indicate about 60% of parents do not tighten their harnesses tight enough. So about 60 out of every 100 children are riding around with their harness too loose. I teach a new parents class and I tell the moms, pull it until you think it's tight, and then pull it once more, because chances are you don't have it tight enough. If you discover that you have been transporting your child for some time and maybe the harness is too loose and you go to tighten it up, yes, the baby is probably going to fuss because they've been used to having a harness a little bit too loose. But once they become accustomed to it, and it unfortunately may take a little time if you find that yourself in that position. Along with the harness, we have the plastic chest clip or retainer clip on the harness. And that, for any seat with a harness, whether it is rear facing or forward facing, infant carrier, convertible, or combination seat, that chest clip or retainer clip should always be positioned at the child's armpit level. It's important that you keep that chest clip up. Its ultimate purpose is to make sure that the harness straps stay on the child's shoulders, strongest parts of their body, to retain the child in the car seat in the event of an impact. Moms have a tendency to slide it down towards the buckle to make the child more comfortable. Unfortunately, we're allowing space to be created that the child could actually come out between the harness straps. So we have to, in general, have the child secured in the car seat. Now we want to talk about having the car seat installed in the vehicle. So when we install the car seat, whether it is a convertible or a infant carrier or a combination seat, you always want to, after you've installed it, you want to grab a hold of the seat shell near the belt path, near the path through the car seat in which you have either routed the vehicle seat belt or the latch system. And you do not want to be able to move that car seat left or right or front to back on that vehicle seat more than 1 inch. It's okay to have a little bit of movement, but not more than 1 inch during that installation process. After we leave forward facing, we would then move on to the booster seat. So when we talk about forward facing, we're truly talking about a harnessed seat, because booster seats are still forward facing only. Booster seats are to be used only with a lap and shoulder belt system. And this is important because A, that's how the seat has been tested and certified, but that shoulder belt is very important in holding the torso or upper body of the child back. And you want to keep that child in a booster seat until they can fit in a vehicle seat belt properly. The Frontier 85 actually goes to 120 pounds in booster mode, and again, there are many other seats out there with very high capacities and weight for the children. Britax also offers a true booster seat, because the Frontier started out as a harness in that combination mode. You removed the harness, it went to a booster seat. And then we also offer a couple of different versions of the Parkway SG. And the Parkway is truly a booster seat only. Again, used with the lap and shoulder belt. This particular seat offers the secure guard between the child's legs, creating a fourth point. What that does is prevents the child from having the ability to slide underneath the lap belt during the event of a crash. The second version of that seat is the Parkway SGL, which we just recently released a couple months ago, and that is a booster seat that has lower latch connectors on it, allowing the booster seat to be positioned in the vehicle with latch. And that's simply because booster seats, when they are not occupied, should always be secured in the vehicle. If it doesn't have latch connectors, you would need to use the vehicle seat belt so that it's not a projectile or flying object in the vehicle in the event of a crash and injure yourself as the driver or maybe other occupants. So the fourth and final step is the seat belt. And how do we determine when a child is ready to go in a vehicle seat belt? You want to have the child sit in the vehicle seat, and they need to be able to sit with their back completely in contact with the vehicle seat back, their backside all the way up against that vehicle seat back. Their knees can bend completely over the front edge of the seat. Their feet can touch the floor. The lap belt needs to cross their hip bone area, not their stomach area, and you want that shoulder belt to be going across their collarbone, not into their neck. Now, most state laws in NHTSA says that this typically is going to happen around age 8 or when they're about 4 foot 9 inches tall. Again, best practice is you want to make all of these criteria are met with your child. So they may be older and they may be taller, because if their length is maybe in their torso but not in their legs, their feet aren't going to touch the floor. You ask, why is that important? It's important because if my feet can't touch the floor, I'm going to start to slouch forward so that they do, because that makes me more comfortable. Then the lap belt will ride up into my abdomen where I have vital organs versus contacting the strongest part of my body, which is my skeletal structure. So last but not least, we're going to just highlight on law versus best practice. It's important to remember that law is often the legal minimum requirement. Good example of that is forward-facing is legally acceptable at 1 year and 20 pounds, but we know that they are much safer riding rear-facing as long as possible. Physics do not change from one side of the border to another, meaning if you live on a state line, as I do in South Carolina and North Carolina, the laws are different, and it is very important that you obviously follow the law, but understand that meeting the law is not always providing that best practice or gold standard of protection for your child. Across the nation, there are many, many car seat checks, certified child passenger safety technicians, and I have provided you a couple of websites if you're not familiar on where to find those, as well as your local state laws. And you can find car seat inspection stations at NHTSA.gov as well. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for their time, Baby Age for the invitation. Again, it was great to be able to participate.
Thank you, Sarah. We appreciate you being a part of our webinar. We would also like to thank all who attended and participated. We hope that you found this car seat safety information useful. If you have any further questions, please email us at content@babyage.com. Thanks and have a great day.